kind of tell us what the season's been like for you so far, not just with you, but just as a whole with the team.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great for our team. Last year we came off the best record in school history that we've had, and this year we're trying to repeat that and go 10-0. So it's been great for our team and the chemistry we have and all the guys that came back from last year too. It's been really good for our team. We're taking it every week at a time. So our offense is clicking right now. We're doing really good on offense. I think we're averaging around 30 something points a game, 40 points a game. We just scored 50 something our last game. So we've been doing good. And other than that, I mean, it's been a fun season with the new head coach and new system and all that stuff. So we're just taking it day by day, week by week.
For you personally, because I know there's going to be a lot of people on here that want to hear this, what have you noticed about your game that's different maybe this year? Things that you had worked on in the off season that you wanted to be able to help take your game to the next level, and have you been able to do some of those things so far this year?
Yeah, I think my ability to run is the biggest thing from last year. If you watch my tape to this year, if you watch my tape, just ability to escape the pocket, stuff breaks down. Just having that ability in my back pocket if I need it. Then honestly, just mentally, physically, and all that stuff too. Just another whole year of the new system. Just being able to read defenses better with my dad's help and all the help that I got around me. So it's been a fun season so far, but we're looking forward to it.
What's it been like having this verbal commitment to South Carolina going into a season, right? I mean, is it do you notice teams maybe looking at you a little bit differently now? I mean, it's a good team, man. I mean, it's an SEC school, so have you noticed things a little bit different this year?
Yeah, I think for me personally, it's a lot more calmer. So I don't have to worry about all the recruiting stuff. I'm doing mostly all the recruiting I can for South Carolina. I'm not really worried about other schools and other coaches hitting me up and all that stuff because they can now. So it's just a lot of FaceTimes with players, talking to Coach Beamer, Coach Sack, Coach Lembo, Coach Coleman all the time, and Coach Depp too, and what they want to see and what they're looking for in their program and all stuff like that. So it's been really good for me just to focus on my team and help lead the team, which has been really good.
You say everything's been calmer. What's that like though as the season's going on? Because, and I use the word verbal, I'm not trying to scare Gamecock fans, but I say that because for you and for so many of the other players who verbally committed, what's that like behind the scenes as far as Beamer, as far as some of these other coaches in terms of the communication? Because obviously the season's busy for them, it's busy for you as well. Well, what's communication like during the season as someone that is committed to South Carolina?
Yeah, I think they're doing a great job of keeping updated, what their week's like, what they're playing, like all that stuff. They're doing a really good job with me, and I know a bunch of the commits are doing a really good job too. And I mean, it's hard for everybody because you're in season. You worry about the next opponent, that day of practice, watching film, all that stuff. So they've been doing a really good job with me, especially my parents too. They send so many letters. I mean, all that stuff. It's been crazy. It's been great. We're super thankful for all that stuff. So they've been doing a really good job. And I've talked to a bunch of other recruits, and they said that South Carolina, out of all the schools in the country, a lot of them say that they're recruiting them the hardest just because of how they interact with them, how they're recruiting their families and stuff like that.
What have your initial thoughts been on the season so far? Because I always think it's interesting hearing a recruit, hearing a commit, because and here's the beauty. And I was saying this before you hopped on. You're a New Englander, so you don't BS. I know when people talk to you, you want people not to BS you. So I know I could be direct with you.
For sure.
You hear things about whether it be coaching staff, whether it be the highs, the lows. I mean, you get it. I mean, you're a Patriots fan, for crying out loud. You see it up here. I say all that because does that really even bother you at all? Is that something you even pay attention? Not just you, but I'm saying recruits. Or are you just so locked in? The reason I'm saying this, Dante, is because I think there's so many people that get worried sometimes when they see a fan base tweet about a coach or they tweet about negative. I mean, they're fans. They're going to say what is on their heart. That's what makes the SEC what the SEC is, and just fan bases across the country for any level. But can you kind of give us a perspective from you and what some of these other prospects, how they look at stuff like that?
Yeah, I think how should I put it this way? I think the fan base they're super strong, and I think if they didn't have an opinion or they didn't have something to say, they wouldn't say it at all. Then I mean they wouldn't show up and sell out. I think every single game this season at Williams-Brice Stadium. So it's simple stuff like that. I mean, a lot of fans. I mean, I know all the Gamecock fans down there. I mean, they're really passionate about the Gamecocks and South Carolina and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, you see it as a recruit, but you kind of know deep in your heart. And for me, I mean, I'm committed to them, so I kind of know the truths and the lies that go along with all the Twitter and social media stuff. So I mean, I don't really say too much. The coaches don't really say too much. They don't really look into it that much. I don't think any of the coaches are pretty active on Twitter right now, except for Coach Beamer after the Kentucky win. So. But other than that, no, I mean, as a commit, and me, I'm talking to Pup Howard and all the other commits too. I mean, they don't really see it as a negative. Just how passionate the fan base is, especially after the last win, after last week. I think a lot of things have kind of calmed down, especially I think they're 4-2 now, going into the bye week too.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up just because I think, again, you and I, we grew up in a pro market, right? And we see it all the time. I mean, shoot, I'm covering the Patriots now, and people are ready to jump off the cliff when one bad pass happens. So
Yeah,
you get it. So
for
I
sure.
just bring that up because I feel like we haven't had an opportunity to hear from a recruit as far as what that's like, and I get it. Is it positive? Does it help the university? No, but you know what? You could say that about any fan base across the country on any level, not just college but pro. You mentioned Pup. How has the communication been with some of these other players? Because as you mentioned, now you're in the middle of a season. So it's not as laid back, if you will, right? Like during the summer when you guys were full steam ahead with your um, recruiting pitches to other players, trying to get them to hop on board. Not saying that you guys have took your foot off the pedal of that, but what is that like from a day-to-day standpoint as you juggle everything else that you have on your plate right now?
Yeah, I mean, me and Pup, we still text every day. I mean, he just texted me 10 minutes ago. So it's simple stuff like that. I mean, we're still out recruiting a lot of people. I think we're gonna have a big time commitment, or hopefully a big time commitment coming soon. But it's just, I mean, you're still texting kids. You're still DMing kids on Twitter. It's all little stuff, FaceTiming kids. I mean, our commitment group chat are doing a really good job of recruiting kids, and I think that's what all the recruits are starting to see is like their Coach Beamer wants to build like a player led program. Like the kids are going to recruit the kids, and they're going to build a relationship with the kids. And if they don't feel like they can fit in with the kids, then they're not going to come here. I think that's why our commits that we have in the 23 class and that we're going to have in the 24 class. I know there's already two of us in 24 class, but they're going to be really strong relationships. I think that's what he wants the program to be built off.
You mentioned it before, Beamer hitting the social media hard, especially after that Kentucky game. What are your thoughts about all that stuff? Just the way he interacts with the players and how he's just, I guess the best way to put it, just himself.
Yeah, I think he's real. I think a lot of people are seeing that now, especially if him. He won that award last week for, I think it was the best coach in the country. So that award was pretty cool, especially for him being in his second year in the SEC program, which is the hardest conference in the country. And getting a win, I think they were 13 over in the country, Kentucky,
Mhm.
or something like that. So yeah, I mean it was huge for South Carolina in the program. But no, I mean he's real. You're going to see what you get with him, and I think that's the biggest thing for as a recruit nowadays that a lot of people try and hide, especially on social media too, which is the head coach not being as real as he could possibly be. But Coach Beamer, he's doing all that.
Now, I know that you're committed for the class of 2024. I'm going to ask you, you're going to get asked this, by everybody until now, until we figure out what the heck's going on. You're still committed for the class of 2024, though, right?
Yes,
Nothing.
sir.
Is there any movement, no, on that, or because I know you
We're,
talked about
we're
seeing
gonna
your strength. You wanted to see if your strength was going to get better, but you would say still 2024.
yes, sir. As of right now, we're gonna go through the season. Then I think I have a month or two after our season to like kind of look at everything in a full picture.
So I say that because with this question, we'll have to wait until 2024. But even with that being said, are there any players that you're looking forward to playing with? I guess you could say more so players that are going through the recruiting process with you, whether it be class of 2024 or class of 2023. So we'll kind of, I don't know if that was the exact question, the way I don't even know how to WJM41 word of that, but I'll kind of ask you that way.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of great O lineman commits in the 2023 class. We have a lot of good athletes in that class too, and the D line we have in the class I put against anybody in the country. So it's all those guys that we have, especially my 2024 class that we're trying to recruit. Carson, I mean, he's doing a great job of also recruiting kids too, and I mean, there's a bunch of South Carolina kids: Cam Bringle, Josiah Thompson, but Big Blake. We got a bunch of others too, and Kalen Fox is another one from Georgia. Anthony Carey, who's a really good running back too. So it's just a bunch of those guys. I mean, I could go rattle off. Jonathan Paler is another really good
Mhm.
receiver. So there's a bunch of those guys that I'm looking forward to, and I'm going to recruit my butt off until they make their decision.
You were at the Georgia game, correct?
I was not. No,
You were not at the Georgia game.
I watched it.
So I ask you that because, hey, fans left. Happens. I mean, it happens on any level. I bring that up because there's one recruit, and I told him I wouldn't use his name, and he said he loved the environment when he was down there that day, and he actually took it as motivation that him and the class that's coming in, they use that as motivation. We want to be the reason why fans stay until the end of the game. When you see stuff like that, I know from a fan base standpoint, instantly they get a little concerned. I'm not saying everybody, but I think some fans get concerned about how it could impact recruiting.
Mm.
When I say that story to you and I share that, do you tend to agree more with that in terms of you look at it as motivation to keep people in the stands opposed to as, oh, wow, this is the fan base or this is the representation of the fan base right now?
Yeah, I think I honestly agree with that statement 100%. I mean, as a recruit and as a player, I mean, you're always trying to go out there and do your best, but I mean, Georgia, they have a great team. I think they're number one in the country right now. So it's just little stuff like that as a recruit too. It's like you want to be the first guys, the first team, the first class to go and change the whole culture. The 23 class, they're going to do a really good job. And then my class and the class after me, we're going to do an even better job of setting the foundation for Coach Beamer and his program. So all that stuff's going to play into account. But yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that statement.
I apologize that I haven't been keeping up in terms of when your visits are. When's the last time you made a trip down to South Carolina?
So yeah, so I visited the last cookout they had in July.
So when do you have any upcoming plans to come on down?
We play on Saturdays, is the only problem.
So that's yep.
Yeah, that's the problem. So we were gonna go down when they played. I think it was Georgia, but I went to my dad's game. They played Holy Cross up here.
Yep. Shout out Bob Chesney. But hey,
Yeah, they're very good. They're very
they are very good. And I know you guys have a connection with them. But I'll Dante, I'll let you get going in a second. But what have you liked the most about what South Carolina has done this season from where they were 3 weeks ago? And you get it. I mean, you've been around the game long enough. Like as you mentioned with your dad. I mean, there's highs, there are lows. I mean, it's just part of the game. But just seeing how they've turned things around the last 3 weeks, and they've been able to now put themselves in a situation where they're riding the first 3-game winning streak since 2017. They have a bye week to kind of get back to even keel, and then they have a big game under the lights in about a week and a half against Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great start from Coach Beamer and obviously the season. Like you said, I mean, first 3-win streak. I think he said since 2017.
Yep.
I mean, that hasn't been done in a long time, and it's only his second year. So, and they're off to a 4-2 start in the hardest conference in America. And I mean, I think their schedule is going to get pretty tough too. Like you said, I think they play Texas A&M at home under the lights. So that'd be a big game. But no, I mean, it's a great start for the fan base. I mean, everybody should be really excited. There should be a lot of buzz about the team right now. I mean, when they played Arkansas, they had a really good shot to win that game too. And at the time, I think Arkansas was 10 in the country or something like that. So I mean, it's just little stuff like that that I think there should be a lot of buzz around the team and stuff like that, and recruits should be happy for what's going on right now because it's only going to go up from here. And I think it's a good start, especially building off of last season too, which is even better.
Last call for anyone that wants to ask a question to Dante. I'll throw intern Joe on right now. Joe, I don't know if you have any questions. You're wearing a warning shirt, so Dante, warning with our guy intern Joe. Man, so he's
no bad energy, baby. No, I mean, Dante, you kind of mentioned it. This recruiting class is kind of building, momentum here going forward. You guys are getting a little bit of national attention, just about how Beamer's been able to kind of pick things up and really start recruiting right away. What does that mean to you to be, part of like the early crop that gets to go out and recruit guys and continue to build and I guess gain momentum going forward?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of like the same like-minded people. I would say the 23 class and what's going to happen in my class. And we want to be the first people to flip the whole SEC and flip the whole culture at South Carolina. I think the 23 class is doing a great job of getting like-minded kids in that class with the same goal and stuff like that. So we're going to do the same thing in 24 class. But it's just like what I said earlier before. It's about the relationships. I mean, everyone in 23 class is so close, and then everyone in my class can be really close too. I mean, you saw the picture that Pup and all them took after the Georgia game. So I mean, it's just simple stuff like that. That's going to happen quick, and when they get there, they're going to do a really good job.